I think it's preparation for a recession, actually. We want to see good strength in balance sheets. We want to see good increases in net income. We want to see them benefiting from higher interest rates, but also starting to be cautious about how the consumer is going to survive over 1 or 2 years when, you know, the lower income brackets consumers are bleeding at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And despite the fact that we're seeing, as Karen pointed out, the war, a lot of the key global commodities coming off, a lot of the factors that have led to higher inflation will be in the system for a very long time, according to that latest CPI print we saw last week as well. So are things, you said prepare for a recession, despite what we've heard, and I've spoken to Mr. Draghi about it, others have spoken to Mrs. Yellen about it. We are going into a recession, are we, Luke?
That's my base case, and it has been, I think, for probably as close to 6 to 8 months now. I think it's really hard. If it's not a full-blown recession, it's certainly a consumer recession, and you know, that's 60-odd% of the US economy. That's going to be hard to avoid. I think in the UK, that's baked on. I think in Europe, it's still questionable, but the ECB needs to raise rates, and I think it's going to be really hard to avoid it. It's not going to be our normal recession. We're still going to have strong employment, and we're still going to have inflation hanging around. We're going to be using stagflation as a word again and again and again, I'm sure, but it's coming.
Luke, can I ask you about the recession planning at the banks? Because they went from looking at the truckload of savings that consumers had built up on the back of the pandemic and the rude health they seem to be in, and started to hand back some of the provisions to shareholders to write them back onto the balance sheet. And now they're planning for the next cycle, the next downturn. How does it look at this point? What are the banks in for?
Well, the really big banks, the Citi, JP, Goldman's, the globally systemic banks, have also stopped their share buybacks. And they've done that with the stress test they've got, saying, you know, there's problems down the road, just get prepared. And also, the lower income consumers have spent those reserves. It's gone. Some great work last couple of weeks from Morgan Stanley and all of that, saying that, you know, it's also going to work out the income tree. And let's be honest, if the Fed really wants to get inflation down, they've got to work up the income tree as well to find the point of pain where inflation stops and starts going down again. So consumers are going to be forefront of our mind for the banks, for everybody, for the next year or two. And the banks will continue to increase their reserves. We see this again and again and again. And as you say, post the recession, post the next couple of years, they'll release them all again and off we go. But right for now, I'm quite pleased to see them building their balance sheets up.
Such a short window, wasn't it, from releasing reserves to turning around and now having to restore them. When it comes to the Wall Street side, the investment banking, we saw some of the banks have a wobble on the back of very little activity. It was only really market activity. It wasn't M&A, it wasn't underwriting, it wasn't IPOs. How does the next phase look like if we are still in uncertain times around the economic activity?
Yeah, it feels if you've got a big investment banking operation, that's the bit that you're seeing a lot of volatility. Citigroup, as you say, stand out, great result. But JP Morgan pointed to that. We'll get more on that on Bank of America and Goldman Sachs today. And I think all of it is pointing to lower volumes. You know, QE has stopped. QT will start. That may increase some volatility and some volumes as well. But, you know, those investment banking fees have been hard to come by this year. And that's probably going to be the case, I think, for at least another 6 months. Having consumer exposure, even with all the problems the consumer has, at least you get some net interest income, and it's increasing at the moment. And mortgages in the US, you know, 30-year mortgages, 5.5% now. That's still pretty decent, even when interest rates may top at 3.5%. That's pretty profitable business for the banks to do.
Hi, I'm Joanna Bersecci, and thank you for watching. You can check out more of our videos by clicking on the boxes on the screen. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more from CNBC International. Thank you for watching.